Here we have it. The man of the hour. Former lightweight champion of the world with a record of 29-5 with 23 knockouts. From Youngstown, Ohio, please welcome Ray Boom Boom Mancini. How was that, Ray?
That wasn't bad. That wasn't bad. I gotta tell you, that wasn't bad. Close. The best introduction I ever got was by Jimmy Lennon Sr., the father. You know, when you think of the great announcers of all time, there's only two that come to mind immediately: Johnny Addy from the old Madison Square Garden, and Jimmy Lennon Sr. from the Olympic Auditorium in all of California, of course, right? Now, Jimmy Lennon Jr. and Michael Buffer, the two. But at that time, Jimmy Lennon Sr., when I fought Bobby Chacon, gave me the introduction. It was the greatest introduction I ever got it before a fight. I was like almost embarrassed to fight. I was like, want to say thank you and good night, you know, because it was that beautiful. So, and I want to tell you, Eddie, I apologize, man. I ain't computer savvy. I ain't tech savvy. So I'm looking for you. Said I was gonna retweet.
You go to your Twitter on your notifications.
Okay, I'm on my Twitter, and my son usually handles my stuff, right? Notifications. Let me do my notifications. And I'm not trying to be rude here while I'm on the phone on this with you.
No, don't worry about it.
My notification. I got notifications.
Okay.
I ain't seen this, man, and I'm telling you, man. I don't know if it's just.
You don't see it?
I don't see it.
Let me see.
Mentions, notifications.
See.
No, as what I mentioned. I gotta say, I'm gonna tell
mentions.
Ray.
Yeah, mentions actually. Yeah. See, look at
Is
that.
It the mentions?
Look, boom. Look at that. I see you right there. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, I don't see it. The mentions.
Yeah,
Am I missing? I'm not. I got a lot of mentions there usually, but I don't.
But I'm the latest one.
Yeah, I'm trying to see it. All right, it'll come up, I'm sure, as we're talking, and then if I look down.
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Oh God, I apologize. You know
what I'm saying? Boom. Let's before we talk about now, I want to talk about boom. When you were a kid, if it wasn't boxing, would you think you would get an athletic scholarship somewhere to play? Which sport was it?
Well, I did. When I was a senior in high school, I got an academic as well as an athletic scholarship to go to Xavier University in Cincinnati for baseball. You know, as the years went on, when I was I tell a story. When I was 16, you know, I played all sports from all the way up, and I was tailback, running back, defensive back, football, point guard, and basketball. So when I hit freshman, I played every sport. You could do that back then, right? Now, plus I went to a private parochial school. Now you go to a public school, they say, we want you to play everything. Like my sons did and when they went to Santa Monica High School. And then after the first year, pick one. Because there's so many, they want you to stick, because basketball's year-round, football training's year-round, you know, so all these things are year-round. I always thought, let the kid, when they were smaller, my kids would get, you know, offered to do travel soccer, to play on a team soccer, travel basketball. I let them play some, but no, man, let them do every sport. When it was that season, that's the sport they played. The best way is to be the best athlete you could be all the way around. And when you get older, you figure it out. So when I was 18, because the only sport I was able to hold on to, but I was a sophomore going into my junior year of high school, before double session started, you know, in the summer we were practicing. My coach called me in. He said, Ray, he said, you got to hit the weights. I said, hit the weights? I got to make weight. I can't hit the weights, you know. I was a $132, tailback, defensive back. And I never thought of getting hurt or anything like that. To me, it was always, you know, ain't the size of the dog in the fight, but the fight in the dog.
Right.
You know, and one of my guys growing up was one of my favorite guys as a football player was Pat Fisher. Played for the Washington Redskins. Number 37, I believe. He's the He owned Harold Carmichael. Remember Harold Carmichael on Eagles? It was like 6'8", 6'8", because Pat used to cut him in half. You know, Pat Fisher was 5'8", $160. So, you know, he's the type of guys I thought, hey, that's my guy, so I could do that. So I never thought of getting hurt. But then next thing you know, they want you to put on weight. I know that, but when football ends, the Golden Gloves are just starting to begin. I'm not gonna have time to train, whatever. And I started thinking about it, and I told the coach I was going to give it up to focus on fighting. When he said, "You're out of your mind. You can't go nowhere as a fighter. You're going to get punch drunk, ba-beep, ba-bop, ba-boop." I said, "Well, that's what I'm going to do." And then basketball I gave up after my freshman year because right after school, I was going to the gym to practice, to train, and then I'd go from there. I'd go practice basketball, then got to go home and try to study and all that stuff, right? So little by little, I was giving them up. The only sport I was able to hold on to until I was a senior in high school was baseball, because that's in the spring out here, and there was no national tournaments or anything like that. So, and then plus I played summer ball. I played the Connie Mack, league.
Yeah.
So when I was 18, we have the Connie Mack tournament in Ohio, the biggest tournament in the state. I mean, of all the countries in Ohio, 28 teams, and we host it here in Youngstown. Usually, whoever wins it in Ohio is favored to win the World Series. So that I had a hell of a tournament. Sprayed the ball well. I had jacked a home run over the 320 wall, and we went to the championship. And it was a semifinal because we lost during the tournament, so we had to win 2 games to beat the champion. The first game in the doubleheader, I jacked it over the 320 wall. So I showed some power. I made the All-State team as the center fielder. I made the All-State All-Star team. So the Toronto Blue Jays had a scout who offered me a contract for their rookie ball. And I said, look, and I always tell people, I don't think it was such a big deal because in 1979, it was only their second year. I think they were offering anybody a contract. They needed guys. But it was nice to be asked. But I said, no, I'm going to be a fighter, turning pro, and that was it. So I played other sports, of course. When you grew up in Northeastern Ohio, you play all sports.
But you know what I like about Youngstown, your neighborhood, you guys are it's like Brooklyn, like New York City. You guys play all day, every day, right?
All day, that's right. I mean, that was when it was, look, I tell people growing up here, it was like Pollyanna life. Come home, do your homework, go out, you're outside. Boom. During the spring, we're playing baseball, basketball, down at somebody's home, or there's, of course, right at the bottom of the street. But during the wintertime, we were playing football, and out sled riding. The best part was playing when it was cold out, and you snow, you bang. It was, playing on the streets. It was the best, man. It was the best. I loved growing up where I grew up. And, but we're known for 2 things in Youngstown, mainly our fighters and our football players and our football coaches. Because right now we have a plethora of coaches, D1 schools. The Stoops brothers, Bobby Stoops. They grew up the next street over, a couple houses down. We went to grade school and high school together. Bobby and Michael. And now Mark is the little one, hey kid, you're bothering us. Get out of here. Now he's the head coach at Kentucky, Stoops brothers, Ed Moransky, who's All-American at Michigan, won the Super Bowl with the LA Raiders in 1984. He was on that team. The owners of the 49ers, the Bartlett family.
DeBar, yeah.
Bartlett family, they're here from Youngstown. So, we had some, guys playing in the NFL. Michael Zordich played at Philadelphia, played at New York Jets. Seattle, came from Penn State, played 14 years.
You guys had some athletes, man. You guys had some athletes.
Michael's just a little kid, Yeah. So, we've had Bernie Kosar, of course, Bernie. He was at the rival school, and he was a couple years younger than me. And you see this kid, this kid was going to be special. So
and then you had your good friend Ed O'Neill that had a shot with the Steelers, right?
Eddie O'Neill, man. He had to travel with the Steelers. I'm on a chair and I'm sliding. You told me I got to get taller, so I'm trying to get taller for you without sliding. That's why I keep doing that. But
all right, hit the one in the middle, all right? Remember Rocky 4? I see 3 of them out there. Hit the one in the middle.
That's the truth. There's a few times when you get your bell rung sparring, you see 2 guys. That's the old saying. Throw it straight down the middle.
Right, exactly.
But Ed O'Neill's from Youngstown, of course. And
now, did you grow up with Ed, or you just met him?
Eddie's a little bit older than me. And I was 70 years. But Eddie graduated from rival school. Rival school was Ursa, 2 parochial schools, 2 Catholic high schools. Mm-hmm. Cardinal Mooney, he went to Ursuline High School. Mm. And Eddie was a hell of an athlete, man, and he tells the story all the time. It's a great story. I had to travel to the Steelers. He made it to the last cut of that, came back, banging around town, working. You know, Eddie was a substitute teacher.
Yeah,
he was a substitute teacher. Yeah, man. And then he said one day he was sitting around, going to his bar, you know, up near where we lived, and all the old timers go there. All the guys after the mills shut down would go there. He said he walked in one day, he was sitting there looking, and goes, and every chair was taken by the same guy forever, right? Mm-hmm. He said, this is going to be me if I don't do something with my life. He was 31 years old. Called up, quit his job, called a friend of his, said, can you lend me some money, get to New York? I'm going. Because he had studied in the playhouse around there, acted in some plays, and went to New York on a dream and a prayer. And, but it was one of the lucky ones. He got there, he was hustling, and started, working in a couple places. He was working in O'Neill's Balloon. It was on 6th Avenue. It was a restaurant. O'Neill's was a popular restaurant chain, but O'Neill's Balloon was a great joint. And somebody's, and he was helping a guy out, prepare for, he was doing a role on Broadway on the play Knockout. And Eddie was his understudy, helping a guy out. And in fact, the guy couldn't do it, quit, and Eddie was there, filled right in, and
the rest is history. His Married with Children audition, you know how he started that? Did he tell you that story?
Which one? I'm sure I've heard it, but tell me.
Because I remember when they said that when he came in the room, he created this smell like that was his audition. That's how they started. They loved him right there. They said he's the guy.
Yeah, Eddie's one of these guys. Like, I'm gonna tell you another story. About Eddie. This is a true story. All you need to know about Eddie. First, I tell people always say to me, who's the toughest guy in Hollywood? I said, toughest guy in Hollywood? And they go, yeah. I go, Ed O'Neill. They go, Ed O'Neill, Al Bundy. I said, let me tell you something about Eddie O'Neill. Ed O'Neill's a street guy. Eddie used to roam with the real guys, major guys. A couple guys became major guys. He used to roam with a crew. Now, Eddie wasn't into that, he was just roaming, he was friends with these guys. A couple of these guys, they was called the Bissell Boys. It was a crew. They did a lot of heists, a lot of jewelry heists and stuff. But Eddie hung with them. They were major guys. Like I said, a couple of them became major guys. Eddie was leery of them, but a couple of these guys were leery of Eddie because Eddie was a real guy, man. Bang guy, Eddie could fight, and all that. So, cut to now, he gets his shot. His first shot is on, I tell a story, he tells it great. It was on Miami Vice, right? So he's playing the role of a guy who's the head of a same thing, like a burglary team, right? Mm-hmm. He's like the head of it. They get caught, and I guess the scene calls for him to have a little fight with what was it? Phil Thomas. What was that other guy? Not Don Johnson, his partner.
Yeah, right? I know who you're talking about. I don't know his name. Yeah.
Okay. So the thing was for the guy to beat Eddie's ass and leave him on the ground. Eddie goes, I'm not doing that. They go, what? He goes, I'm not doing that. They go, Ed, what are you talking about? He goes, first of all, he ain't beat my ass. He said, ain't nobody gonna believe that. They go, Ed, it's acting. I don't care. Acting good. First thing I teach you about acting, you don't want to have to convince the audience. Audience are gonna believe that. He said, look, I'm not the. So there was a little bit of hubbub. Phil, I forgot, Phil, Tom, whatever, I'll think of his name. Mm-hmm. He come over, Ed, what's going on? They go, Ed's having a problem. He don't want to do the scene the way it's written because he says, you be beating his ass. He goes, and they go, Ed, it's that. He goes, I don't care, man. You ain't beating my ass. Ain't nobody gonna believe that. Ed. He goes, look, man, let me tell you something. I'd beat your ass and you'd like it. I was like, oh. No, he says, so Don Johnson come over, what's the problem? They explain to Don Johnson, they go, Ed, he goes, hey, I don't care, man. Get somebody else to do the role. He ain't be mad. Ain't nobody gonna believe that, and that ain't gonna happen. So,
and they respected him for that.
They said, Ed, we can't get nobody else. And he goes, well, then we better figure it out, huh? And they changed the scene. My point being is, his first role ever got, he was 31 years old. He's late in the game anyway. He gets his first shot on a major show. He's telling them that ain't gonna happen. Get somebody else. I mean, that's ballsy, man. And they changed it. And so that's Eddie. Eddie has beliefs. He's Eddie's a theatrically trained actor.
Oh yeah.
He can do Shakespeare, man. You think it's from the Royal Shakespearean Theater.
Right.
He could with the English accent. He can sing like a bird. You should hear him sing Al Green. He does Al Green better than Al Green. I'm telling you, Eddie's got a lot of talent. Very well read. So I always tell a story about it. Everyone thinks, oh, Bundy, he's getting ready to do I think he's going to do a drama. I think he just finished Modern Family. He just did a film that came out on Amazon.
Yeah.
And I love Eddie, man.
But you know what's crazy? He did 11 years with Married with Children.
Yeah.
11 years with Modern Family.
I was with him. I was in LA 2 years ago. The night we have a dinner together because I was out there doing commentary.
Is that the picture right there?
Yes, that is the picture. That's the picture. That night, I was with a friend of mine, a young man in there. He's a friend of mine. His grandfather was my attorney, my business manager. He was out there. So we invite. That's the night. Eddie, the marriage when the Modern Family came on, Eddie broke the record of Lucille Ball for most episodic television, most episodic roles or episodic episodes in television. You know, he had all the ones with Married with Children. You know, with Modern Family, he did a couple other pilots that didn't go, but that night he broke the record for all-time record for episodic television. I said, Eddie, what do you think? He goes, who gives a shit, man? Who cares? I go, Eddie goes, who keeps track of that shit? I don't mean that. Who keeps track of that? Who's gonna know that? Right. It don't mean nothing.
You know, my story with Eddie, I met him here. Here's a picture of him and I at the SAG Awards after party. And we were talking Steelers football that year. I think the Steelers went. And I was like, listen, for an actor, you know your shit about football. He's like, well, you have no idea what I did for the Steelers. I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, all right.
He was the last cut of that 1970 team. Joe Green, Jack Ham, Lambert, all them, man.
And Bradshaw was there? Was Bradshaw there?
Bradshaw, yeah, that was you.
Oh.
So he made the last cut. I'll never forget when he got his star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I was, a couple years ago, I was still living out in LA. He was up there thanking everybody's family and ba-beep, ba-boop. And
here's the picture right here. You and him.
Yeah, there it is, there. He says, I think I should probably thank Chuck Noll. He says, because if you don't cut me, who knows? He says, so I got to thank this Pittsburgh Steelers fan, the Rooney family and Chuck Noll. If you don't cut me, who knows what would happen?
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Ray. What inspires you to say, Dad, I want to be like you? What?
No. Look, Eddie, everyone always said to me, Ray, so you're a fighter because your father. I said, yes and no. Yes, I wanted to be my father. My father's my hero in life. He's still, as a father, as a man. That
picture right there. See that?
Yeah. I mean, that's my favorite photo, publicity photo of him. It's my favorite one right there. And I said, on one other photo I love better than that one. Only one other one, is when he was all banged up after a fight. That's another story. But anyhow, he's everything I wanted to be, So yes, I'm a fighter because I wanted to be him. But my father's the one who tried to talk me out of it in the worst way. People think, oh, you're a fighter because your father. He's the one who never wanted me to be a fighter. He said, Ray, when I fought, I did the amateurs. He was okay with that. He was fine, proud of me. But when I said I wanted to turn pro, he said, Raymond, he sat me down. I said, Raymond, I had to fight. It was depression. I had to eat. He said, you got so many other opportunities. Because I had the scholarship, like the opportunity to go to college. I want you to go to school, get that education. You could be great in whatever you want to be, but get that education. And then I had the baseball offer. He said, go play baseball and still go to school. You can play baseball. I said, no, Dad, I want to win the title for you. Well, what's he going to say? And so, you have to understand, it's like, and a kid saying, I want to be president of the world, president of the United States. Yeah, great, that's fun, that's great, kid, good luck. No, that's how it was when people say to me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I said, I want to be a fighter world champion for my father. Isn't that cute? Little boy wants to be a fighter champion. But that's it. So later on, when I'm sorry, I keep doing that, this thing slide.
No, you're fine.
When later on, one reporter said to me, yeah, boom, now that you won the title and for your father, I said, did you ever really believe that you would? I go, yeah, man, because I used to have dreams about it. 8, 9, 10 years old, I go to bed dreaming about it. I used to go to bed thinking about it. see myself with the belt over my hand, my hands raised with hold the belt over my head. I said, now sports psychologists have a fancy name. It's called positive mental visualization, right? You've heard that.
Yeah,
If you could see it, if you could believe it, you could be it.
But you got to work for it too now.
Yeah, but hell, man, I always thought it was called dreaming. It's being a dreamer, having a dream. See, but here's what I tell people all the time. It was not being a dreamer. Oh, everyone's a dreamer. Yeah, here's the rub. Here's the rub on that. Dreams without action are just air. It's passing thoughts. Right. Dreams without action are passing thoughts. I mean, you got to make them dreams, put them into action, and make them become a reality. And that's the difference. You know, you always people want to do this or that. I say, God bless you. I hope so. But make it become a reality. Put those dreams into action. Don't just sit there. You know, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be an Oscar winner. What are you doing for that? Well, you going to acting school? Well, no. Are you doing any plays? Well, no. See, yeah. I want to be a football player. I want to, whatever. You got to make it happen. You got to go after it. My mother told me one time. I always said my father was my inspiration, but my mother was my motive. I mean, my father was my inspiration, but my mother was my motivation. My mother made me believe I could be whatever I want. My mother made me believe I was 10 foot tall.
Was that her right there?
That's my mom right there. Yeah, she used to tell me, Raymond, the only limitations you have are those you put on yourself. You could be whatever you want in this life. I was a young kid. I was the smallest one, always on teams, but I was like the leader, the captain, the team, whatever. Right. I never thought of being the smallest. I never thought of that as being a limitation. I never thought, I could be whatever I want to be. And my mom taught me that. And my father used to say, I love you just because you're my baby. Yeah. I'd have to prove it. I love you just you're my baby.
But boom, in Youngstown, the mentality is, look, you get a job at the mills, you're fine. That's it. Right?
Meet a nice girl, get married, raise a family.
That's it.
Great
right?
life, man. It's a great life. It's a solid life. Put kids through private school, 2 cars in a driveway, have your home paid for. It's a great life. I just wanted something different. I don't,
Boom. Let me ask you this. In Youngstown, the crime, you have a lot of gangsters, right? Wise guys. You're between Cleveland
and Pittsburgh. Yeah. Right? Second, only city of our size that I know. Maybe others. But only city of our size controlled by 2 major families that I know of.
Right. But did anybody ever offer you, like when you were a kid, hey, boom, why don't you get involved with us? Rob some cars?
No. They were, when I was growing up, and I knew them all. I mean, I knew them all, both sides. Mm-hmm. And they're both proud of me. They would come to all my fights, used to party with them, hang out with them, after the fight, go drink and play. I mean, hang out in the sense that if I was going to a club, see them, hey. But they never want anything from me. They were always proud of me. Stayed at arm's length, which I appreciated. They never tried to dirty me up, as they said. They wanted to dirty me up, and they were proud of me. And they bet my fights. They come to all the fights, and it was great. No. But
so let me ask you: did they have gangster seats with the politicians?
Yeah, it was funny. The difference in Youngstown is the gangsters and the politicians was all obscured. You couldn't tell who's who. You wouldn't know who's who. That's the truth. The difference between our town and Upton and the other place, like New York, whatever, is why is that? It must like other places, but they're ingrained into the everyday fabric. There's, the guy. I'd be sitting. This is true. I'd be sitting after a fight. I'd run these guys. I'd be at a club. I'd be having a drink with you. You're on modern. Your local media personality. Your local city official, head of the school board. Guy running illegal activities. We'll all sit and have a drink because in Youngstown, it's like, hey, man, we all have jobs to do. Just different jobs. We all carry our lunch pail to the job. Just different jobs. And, these guys live next door. They're, hey, Mike, so-and-so, yeah, man, what a great guy, great family, man, ba-beep, ba-ba-ba-boop. But, his work, his line of work is just different from mine. He's got to make a living for his family. He chose one way. I chose another.
Boom. When the gangster says, yeah, he got a tune-up, what does that mean in Youngstown?
Youngstown. There's a saying because it goes back to the 60s. In the 1960s, there was more car bombings in the city of Youngstown. Guess this. There was over 60 in the decade from the 60s, from 1960 to 1969, more car bombings in the city of Youngstown. I believe there was over 40-something car bombings than every other city in the country combined. So Youngstown got known as Bomb Town, Murder Town, and what they called it when they put a car bomb, a Youngstown tune-up. That's the Youngstown tune-up.
Okay, so here's the conversation. Let's say you and I gangsters. Hey, did you hear about Joey? He had a tune-up last night.
He got tuned up. He got tuned up. Yeah.
Holy shit!
And that's that was, like I said, it was not uncommon. It was happening more frequently, even up to the mid '70s, early '80s too. Mid '70s.
That's because everybody lost their jobs. The mills went out of business,
Correct.
right?
Correct. Steel mill shut down 1977, September 19th, Black Monday. September and one day, this is true. Well, one day over 5,000 men. Got the peak slips. Nobody knew it was coming. It was all new. It was all on the okie doke covert. One night. Next day, 10,000, 5,000 men lost their job. And in 1 week, 10,000 men. 1 month, 25,000 men. In 6 months, over 50,000 men lost their jobs.
And then
it decimated this town. I don't think we're ever fully recovered.
But here's the thing, and then a lot of them got involved as sharks.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, look.
I mean, they got to feed their family, right?
And my brother was one of those guys that got caught up in foolishness. He worked at the mill. He had no job now, and so he was making big money. He was making more money than my father was making. A lot more money. And so he was out of work, so he started collecting. He was, being a collector. I turned pro 2 years later. I turned pro in '79. Like I said, we were only 2 years removed from the steel mill shutting down, and town was nothing going on. And when I turned pro, and I brought my pro debut back to Youngstown, and I was fighting back here pretty frequently, the town needed something to hold on to, and I happened to be that guy. It could have been it. Could have been somebody else at that time. It just happened to be me. Mm-hmm. And the timing was right. Plus, my style of fighting was it was very emblematic of the city. You take some shots to give some shots. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I'm still standing, and that's our town.
That's blue collar type of work. That's
And as a blue collar fighter, I was known as the blue collar champion when I was fighting, blue collar fighter, and so people needed that. Guys were cashing in their welfare checks, their unemployment checks to come and see me fight. I tell people my relationship with my city is a little different than most. There's a love here, a genuine love. I love these people, man. I love these people because I know what they sacrificed for me. I know how they supported me. They came to my fights. They rooted for me. Right. And
but Boom, did the wise guys ever say, "Hey, Boom, if anybody hurts you, you let us know. We got your back."
Well, I had a few guys know. A few guys said, "Look, if you have a problem, a few guys, if you ever have a problem, you let us know." But no, everyone treated me good. I was never a situation. I was never in that situation,
So, Boom, amateur fight, you lost, and you got Murphy Griffith reassured you and said, "Listen, it's just amateur. I got your back, all right?" He contacts David Wolf. That's a boxing promoter, manager? Is that what
Manager, Dave Wolf. And David just became a manager. The only guy, he didn't manage anybody at that time yet. The only guy he started helping out was Dwayne Bobbitt, because he was friends with Joe Frazier, and he met Dwayne in the '72 Olympics, and became friends. So when Dwayne was turned pro under Joe's banner, Dave was friends. So that's how, and he hung around with Joe's. Dave was one of the few. I think the only rider to be in Joe's camp when Joe was training for Muhammad Ali. He said, from '71 in all 3 fights. So he developed a good relationship with Joe. And then when Dwayne turned pro, was in Joe's camp, he was around and developed a good relationship with Dwayne. And then Joe Frazier's company kind of let him loose. Dwayne came to Dave, and Dave said, "Yeah." And Dave said he learned the fight game by hanging around Joe's gym from Yank Durham, Eddie Fudge, those guys, So,
Boom, why is it inspiring? Not inspiring. Well, kind of like a little established potential boxer. You guys moved to New York City at Stillman's. What was Stillman's? A gym?
Well, Stillman's was the most famous gym ever. The 2 most famous gyms. Stillman's gym from the 30s, 20s, 30s. I think it closed in the 50s. And then, of course, the Main Street gym. Well, 3 Street. Main Street gym out in LA, and then the 5th Street gym down in Miami. But the 5th Street gym came very famous like in late 50s and 60s when Ali was training there, and then all the great Cuban fighters were coming over. So they were training at the 5th Street gym, and that's where Angelo Dundee and his brother Chris Chris was the promoter, Angelo was the trainer. So those were the three famous gyms in the country. And there was nothing happening in Youngstown. For every, you had to go to New York or LA, but New York was where I had to be. And so I wanted to be my father. My father went to New York. I'm going to New York. I knew that since day one. I was going to New York like my father did, and it worked out. It worked out. That's what I'm supposed to be. I believe in destiny as far as life and love. I really do.
But here's the thing: you had to come back to Youngstown because your sister called you and said, "Listen, your brother, he got killed, right? May he rest in peace. I'm so sorry about that."
Yeah, I appreciate. Thank you. It was an accident. Well, it was an accidental shooting, which it was. It's a whole story behind that, and it was. He was seeing a woman who used to be involved with the outlaw biker gang, and they were calling my brother and telling him, "Hey man, you want the girl, you can have her, but it's going to cost you $10,000." It was like white slavery. You want the white slavery. My brother said, "Man, screw you, man. You want?" They said, "Well, we're going to come after you." He said, "Well, you better come heavy. You better come heavy. I'll be waiting." So, and when it happened, the night it happened, nobody knows exactly. Him and the girl were together, and nobody knows that they broke in the house. There was no they didn't break in the house in the sense that somebody let him in. She said she was getting, they were threatening her too. So my brother bought her a gun to protect herself, and supposedly he was showing her how to use it, and supposedly it went off and hit him. That's what she said. Well, we found out later she knew how to use the gun better than he did. So it's question. See, this never came to light. Did she shoot him on behalf because they threatened her, saying we're going to kill you if you don't kill him? Did she let them in, unlock the door, let them in, or another reason? Or was it an accident? The bottom line is this: I had detectives who said, "Raymond, this doesn't smell right. We can look in there. We can get to the bottom of this." And I said, "No, I don't want no more. I wasn't going to bring him back, and I didn't want to put my parents through that." So I said, "No, it doesn't mean anything. That brings up." But anyhow, so that's how it. And the girl I think she got convicted on some manslaughter charge, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it was a girl.
But here's the thing: when you went back, when your family told you, "Listen, you got to go back to New York and train," right? Did it give you even more of a motivation to work much harder?
Well, for me, I used it
because you had more discipline than your brother. I mean, those are facts.
He was you get into because you've read a lot, you've done your homework. I appreciate it. There's your diligence.
Hey,
most people know
who's the man, Ray? Just tell me who's the man, baby. You got to say Eddie Mata, baby. Go ahead.
You're the man.
There you go. All right, but go ahead.
If you read the book, or if you watched the documentary, I've said it, and people will tell you, he was a better fighter than me. He was a better fighter. He was a better boxer. He was a better banger, better puncher. But the thing he lacked, and the one thing I had, is the one thing I probably had over a lot of guys later on, is the discipline. Nobody outworked me in the gym. Nobody outworked me. And that was the thing I was proud of. You beat me. I ain't going to beat myself. I didn't beat myself,
Right.
And so, but I had to discipline. My brother was a handsome kid. He loved to play. He trained hard. But when between fights, he was playing, man.
Hey, but Ray, but you're a good-looking bastard too back then.
I had a good time. Look, I had a good time between fights too. But there's a difference.
Well, of course.
A couple of days, maybe a week. Then you get back to the grind a little bit. Not as heavy, but I mean, little by little. Like Griff, my trainer used to say, "Look," and I was fighting so regularly, I couldn't get out. There was no time to get out of shape. But Griff used to say to me before training camp, when I was a champion, "Come in with a little gas in the tank. I don't want you to have a whole lot because you're going to have to peak at the right time. If you come in with a lot of gas in the tank, you're going to peak too early." You just say, "Not a lot, just have enough." Run every other day, mile and a half, 2 miles, easy. I say, jump a little rope, maybe shadow box, nothing heavy. Just have a little gas in the tank. So that's when I went to training camp. I wasn't starting from scratch. That's and that's the science. Peaking as a fighter, peaking as an athlete is a science. You really get, and you can't be seeing the difference between football or boxing or football, any team sport is Well, if you're off that day, you have your teammates to pick up the slack.
You got your teammates, right?
You know, if Tom Brady throws a few, like he did, gets the Packers a couple interceptions, and does almost the team picks up the slack for him.
But his defense hooked him up, so yeah.
As a fighter, you got to be perfect that day, not the day before, that day. If you ain't perfect that day, usually it's your ass.
Yeah, but boom, did you ever have negative thoughts? Do you hear that voice? Do you get scared before a match?
People always say to me, were you ever afraid going down and fight? I said, I was afraid every fight. Difference is, but you can use fear as a weapon. I tell people, there's one thing I learned, the hero and the coward face fear the same. It's what they do with it that makes them the hero or the coward at that time. The hero uses it for energy, keeps him sharp, uses it for energy, it keeps him on guard. The coward succumbs to it, gives into it, gets overwhelmed by it. Some days you are the hero, some days you are the coward. That's it's not a one-time thing. It's an every-time thing. Right. So the only time I doubted myself, 2 times I doubted myself, not because I doubted my ability or doubted was the Aguayo fight, the first Aguayo. I just thought, well, I train, I'm ready, but I'm beating.
Ray, hold on a minute. Ray, hold on a minute. Is someone else using your Wi-Fi? Hold on. All right, go ahead, talk. Let me hear.
No.
You're delayed a little bit. That's why. I'm like,
no. Oh, I see now. I see. Yeah, because I'm seeing them a little bit. Yeah, I see here. I'm sorry. Man, I'm
hold on a minute. I know I'm not delayed because I always get worried.
Well, what's up with this, man? What's up with this?
Hold on. You're doing good. Hold on.
All right. So, when I found Aguayo, I knew how great he was. I used to love watching Lexus fight. He was one of my heroes. Right. But I also felt I was stronger. I was coming on to climb. I beat the number 6 contender, number 3 contender. I was catching him at the right time. I just felt it was the right, everything in my. But then, little by little, a couple days before, you got doubt tries to creep in. You got to fight it. You could combat it in your mind. No, and you got to. It's like a toilet. Negative thoughts come, you flush them right out. You got to flush them out. Man, I can't stand looking at myself over here.
Hold on a minute. Wait. Hold on a minute. Is anyone else like?
Let me find out. Hold on.
Netflix, tell him to shut it down. Come on now.
That's better, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Look at that good-looking bastard.
Wow.
Boom, Mancini in the house.
Man, he could scare a bulldog off a meat truck.
Ray.
Let me see. Okay, I'm trying to get in the middle here. Shit, okay.
No, you're good. Ray, let me ask you this. This is what's scary, right? This is what I'm afraid of. When you fought the guy, you were 19-0, your 20th match against this lefty.
Yeah.
He's got like 53 wins.
Yeah, Jose Luis Ramirez.
Yeah. So now, is he a tall guy too?
No, he wasn't.
It was the other guy that was taller.
Yeah, Alexis was taller.
Yeah, Alexis. But when you see that shit, when the ring announcer says with a record of 53-4, you're like, holy shit, yo.
No, I was very confident in that fight. I was very confident. That's what, look, at that time, CBS was having a boxing tournament, the top 10 guys, the winner fights Aguayo. So I beat Jose Luis Ramirez, ranked number 6. Jose Luis Ramirez, I beat Jorge Morales, who was number 6 contender. Jose Luis Ramirez beat whoever he beat. So now the fight for us, and the winner's going to fight Aguayo. Now here's the rub on that. They wouldn't even take the bets in Vegas. They wouldn't take the bet because I was such an underdog. He was such a favorite over me. The bet line was off the table. But here's the thing. You see, before he fought me, he had just fought Alexis down in Miami in a non-title fight. He dropped Alexis twice, but all right, he beat him. But they gave Alexis a split decision win, which it was, and that's what got, and then that's what it. So, but he had to fight somebody else in this tournament. They picked me. They thought I'd be, the right opponent for him, and they expected him and Alexis to have the rematch. And obviously,
They say the World Boxing Association was corrupted a little back then. Is that true? Okay, but Ray, hold on a minute.
Both organizations.
Okay.
Both organizations.
So for the world title match, right? Arturo Frias, is that his last name?
Yeah.
Okay, so here, tell me this story. You guys are in Arizona, and you got 2 Mexican guys.
Yeah.
And they're hunting for you. They literally want to kill you. Is that true?
Yeah. I was training.
Elaborate on that story. I want to hear this.
I was training on Tucson. I was training in Tucson, and one day, a couple guys come in, a couple button-down guys with just ties, suits, boom. They come in and start talking to my trainer. All of a sudden, he said, "Oh, Chuck," they called Chuck. He said, "Oh, Ray, you got to come here, Ray." The guys introduced themselves. I'm, detective so-and-so, detective so-and-so. We got a call from the hotel you're staying at, and one of the chambermaids said that some gentleman came look to your room looking for you, and on your floor looking for you. And they asked her, "Do you know which room's Mancini's?" And she said no, but of course she did. She said no. Right. He said, "Do you know Mancini's?" She said no. And they left, and she followed them and watched them. And one guy had guns sticking out of his pants. The other guy, and there was a guy in the car, and he had a couple of rifles, and all had guns. And so they asked her, "What do you think they want on Mancini?" She said, "I don't know, but what do you think they would have done with him if he was here? Done with him?" She said, "I think they would have killed him." And so they said, "You can't go back to the hotel or your room." I said, and they said, "You go get another room under a different name." And then Dave Wolfer called my manager. Dave had to call Bob Arum, and they said, "You got to get out of town." So next day, Bob set up. I'd be leaving next morning, or the next afternoon, late morning, to Las Vegas. But I was supposed to be in Tucson for 5 weeks, but I was there for about 2.5 or 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So I had another 3 weeks to go, and so we go to Vegas the next day. And what happened? And they said, "Will you rather?" Oh, so that night they put us in a room under some name. I go, "Okay, well, I said, "Well," they said, "Well, you can't do road work." I said, "No, I got to do road work. I'm fighting for a title. You can follow me, you could be with me, but I don't have to do road work." So next morning I got up to road work. They followed me in the car, and then we got back. And we got our stuff ready, and we took a flight. So, people said there was a different theories of what happened. Some people think that it was the WBA, Pepe Cordero, who was the head of W, who was thoroughly corrupt. He was a total wise guy.
So there was corruption then.
Yeah. He was trying to throw me off because he had to beef with my manager. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying these are the theories.
They try to scare you so you could be worried and lose the fight.
Yeah, or there's nobody knows what it was. But this is the theories. And then there was one that somebody else, was betting. It was someone said it was WBC trying to send somebody to throw it off to mess up plans. Here's the theory that I believe, and this is the third theory. This is what I believe. At that time, if you remember, people, Tucson is a border town. And a lot of that time, a lot of people coming over across the border, kidnapping diplomats, wives, diplomats, people, and so-called important people, and bringing them over to the border and asking for ransom. I think they found out I was training there. They thought they'd go, try to kidnap me and ask for ransom. That's my theory.
Well,
I just think it was total bandoleros from Mexico. I don't think it was anything to do with no boxing related. It's just that's what it was. So, like I said, I was there 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, and then instead of going the last 5 days, I went the last 2.5 weeks to Las Vegas. Another story I tell people. So I get there. It's actually like the last 2 weeks, and I get there, and Murphy Griffith, we train at the gym. He's good friends with Eddie Futch, of course. They knew each other from being Joe Frazier, Jim. And Griffin and Eddie Futch are good friends. So we took one sparring partner with me. Now, as I was cutting down and work anyway, and Griff said to Eddie Futch, goes, "Hey, man, you got anybody my kid can work with?" He said, "Well, I ain't got no lightweights." He said, "But I got a kid over here. He's 130 pounds, but he'll give you all the work you want." Freddie Roach.
Wow.
Freddie slapped the shit out of me for the next 10 days. People don't know how good a fighter Freddie was.
Wow.
Freddie was a hell of a fighter.
He's a legend, man. Legend.
But he couldn't punch. Not a big puncher, I mean. Freddie's one of the guys, he had more heart. He could not heart, nobody's got a big heart than Freddie. He had a great chin. He could fight he could box like crazy, aggressive, but he just didn't have a big punch. So So Freddie slapping me around for, like I said, first 10 days. Finally, the last week or so, I'm catching up. Now I'm catching up to him. Now I'm matching him punch for punch, even getting better of him a little bit. Then I knew I was ready. And I tell people all the time, to this day, and I love him forever. I said, he wouldn't let us pay him because he said, no, I got to get ready for a fight too. You know, you paid. He didn't want no pay. I love Freddie Roach to this day because he got me more ready for that fight than anybody.
Wow.
And his speed, everything. And he does it. He always makes the joke because, yeah, I had a good week. But believe me.
But you know what? You almost went down in the first round, right? He
caught
you.
Yeah, I got caught.
You got caught right in the chin, right? But I believe a great boxer, you got to take punches. You got to take punches.
And look, Griff always taught me boxing is pretty basic. Either coming forward or moving back. Either throwing shots or catching shots. When you get hurt, either move or you fire back. I chose to fire back. And it worked out for me.
You know what's
hurt? He jumped on me, threw punches, caught him.
And you got him in the first round. Do you realize, Boom, you got 9 knockouts in the first round?
Yeah, I had a lot of early knockouts early on. And that's when my trainer said, man, we need, and Dave said, look, we got to get him some rounds. So that's why my first 10 rounder, I fought at the Silver Slipper out in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. There's only 2 places, arenas in the country at that time going every week. It was the Silver Slipper Las Vegas every Wednesday night and the Olympic Auditorium every Thursday night. So I fought in Las Vegas the 20th. I remember, why reason I remember this, I don't know. It was like the 23rd of July. I fought a kid named Leon Smith from Los Angeles. Tough black kid. But I caught him and I knocked him out first or second round. I just happened to catch him, because these guys tried to jump on me. And I was a good puncher and I caught them. So the next week we said, we got to stick around. So I trained at the Johnny Taco gym, famous gym. And so finally Dave says, we got to bring somebody in. But so I had a kid named Jaime Nava from LA. And Dave said, look, you're not going to knock this guy out. He gone the distance with everybody. I said, no, I'm going to knock him out. No, you ain't knocking him out. He's gone the distance with everybody. I'm going to knock him out. Don't worry about knocking him out. Just beat him the easiest way. So Griff said, Ray, we're not going to worry about it. I said, Griff, I'm going to knock this guy. I'm going to shoot him. We're not going to worry about it. You catch him. But we're going to box this guy. We're going to be smart. It's just enough. Griff always told me, you don't box like moving away from it. Boxing guys, you stay close in the pocket. You just move enough. Well, the 4th round, I hit him with an uppercut. I knocked him on his ass. I thought, yeah. He looked at me, started laughing. I go, okay, man, I ain't knocking this guy out. He got right up, So he kept coming. But what I did, I boxed. I looked like a little Willie Pep in there. I beat him 10 rounds easy, but I won. But the thing is, I was supposed to fight the following week at the Olympic, the next Thursday night. But this fight, my hands swelled up. I had because every time I could do it, kept dropping his head. I kept hitting him on top of the head. Mm-hmm. So my hands swelled up. Consequently, I didn't get a chance to fight. And one of the biggest regrets of my life is never getting a chance to fight the Olympic Auditorium. Oh, wow. So, but that was happening. So, yeah. So,
Boom, but here's the thing. Boom, here's what I want to know. When you won that world title, right? Like, you are the man now, right?
Yeah.
Did you, when you said to your dad, this one is for my dad, when you beat Frios, what I want to know afterwards, you got celebrities all over.
Well, it's different. It's different.
But hold on. But Boom, you're still a kid now, right?
Yeah.
A lot of gorgeous girls, right? Coming up to you, hey, Boom, how are you, Boom? Hi, Boom, right? I mean, come on, let's be realistic now.
Well, look. No, Eddie. I did okay. I had a good social life for that. But after that, ooh, man, I started looking like Errol Flynn. Ooh, I got handsome real quick. With that belt around my waist. Oh, man.
And your eyes are all puffy. It's okay.
Oh, man, I got handsome real quick.
You're still beautiful, Boom. You're still beautiful. I love you. Please marry me, right?
Yeah, it was.
Come on. Hey, Boom, it's normal, all right?
No,
You're on top of the world.
I was a single guy. I was on top of the world, right? And I had a good single.
Boom, let me ask you this. After this match, did you guys party? Where'd you guys party afterwards?
Oh, no. In my hotel room. When I won the fight, when I beat Arturo Frias, it was at the Latin Hotel. Mm-hmm. And the great casino boss, he's he's very famous. I'll tell you, I got to think of his name for a minute. I'll think of his name in a minute.
Wynn? Is it Wynn?
No, it was the Aladdin Hotel.
Oh, okay.
And it was very one of my.
All right, but go ahead. Don't worry about it. You don't have to tell them.
Actually, if you look it up, it was Sunny. He handled Sonny Liston too. It was he threw a party in my suite. The hotel, we had party. We partied from early evening to all night. People are still talking about that party to this day.
And there were like 100 girls trying to get in the
everybody
suite,
came.
right?
We invited everybody. We invited everybody.
Okay.
We invited on the floor to the casino. Come on up, party up. Yeah, and it was great, man. It was a wonderful time.
Hey, Boo, but you know what? This is what I noticed. In boxing, by law, if you get knocked out with a lost knockout, they suspend your license for 45 days. Right?
Well, nowadays it's like 30 days, 30 days, 45 days.
So you can't spar, you can't do nothing, right?
Nothing, right. Doesn't mean you can't run or jump, but.
All right, so you're on top of the world.
Yeah.
Tell me the story with Sylvester Stallone. How that happened?
Well, I met him through a mutual friend. He came and.
See this picture right here, you and him. Did you tell him you're the real Rocky?
What?
You're the real Rocky. You're the real Italian stallion.
Yeah, well, people. It was funny because people said, for some crazy reason, people said he wrote that story about you. I said, what? I was in high school. He wrote that story. I wasn't even pro yet.
Right.
That movie came out in '76. He didn't write about no. But Sly became friends. For some reason, he knew some people local. In the local area. They introduced me to him. He came to my fight when I defended my title, the first fight against Ernesto Espana. He came to the fight. Mm-hmm. And so we got to be friends. And for years, even when I lived in LA, I'd see him on Saturdays, down at Cafe Roma. And it was great, man. He was great.
What about?
He was a good guy, man.
What about? I love this guy, Mickey Rourke. I love
Mickey. Mickey's my guy. I love Mickey. He's my brother. He's my brother.
I have a story with Mickey. I met him right here. Here, it's him and I right here. He loves me because I told Mickey actually played high school baseball.
Yeah, very good baseball player.
A legendary coach that he coached at LSU. His name is Skip Burke. And I said, Mickey, I will bust your ass in home run derby. And he started dying. I was like, oh, no. I'm 55 years old. I can still hit it out. This is when he won the wrestling back in 2009.
Right.
Yeah, so I was like, Mickey, you can't hit. He's like, are you kidding me? Just talking smack.
Well, Mickey, he's from Florida. I mean, born in New York, but he moved to Florida. And he coached? He's coached?
Andy Garcia?
Andy Garcia. Yeah, he was Andy Garcia's baseball coach. And he said, well, he was a hell of a coach. And Andy talks pretty highly. What a hell of a coach. Yeah. That's a hell of a story, right? And Mickey, I love Mickey, man, but he's a fighter's heart, man. He's got a fighter's spirit. But he's got such a talent for acting. And but he never could give it up to boxing. So when we became friends, when he came to that time, when he came back, when he left acting for a period of time and became a fighter.
Yeah.
I stuck up for him because people say, "Oh, he's crazy." I said, "Well, look, Tom Cruise drives racing cars.
Right.
Oh, isn't that the All-American? Oh, that's Tom Cruise. He's All-American sport.
Yeah.
He's driving racing cars. That's more dangerous than anything."
Right.
Mickey's gone in there against real guys. I mean, look, he's trending, he's doing the right thing. Look, it wasn't smart because obviously it affected him later on with, But Mickey wanted to do it. I got to marry anybody who takes a shot. You got to marry anybody who tries to live out a dream. You got to marry. I just didn't see a point in it. Now, every actor wants to be a sportsman. They want to be sportsmen, whether it's baseball, football, or fighters. Every fighter wishes they could be. Every sports guy wants to be an actor. Go in front of the camera, get paid for not getting punched or getting hit. So.
But you know what? I love Mickey because he's so truthful. He's a truthful.
Oh, he's honest. Sometimes a little too honest. Meaning this, I was there with him during the time when he was literally assassinating his career. Things he'd say in the press, things he'd do. I'd go and see him on movie sets, a couple of his movies, and how he talked to the producers and stuff. Look, Hollywood's a small town. I don't care how talented you are. Even when I produced Bone films, my first film I produced at MGM. You start going in, you start going through the casting list. You start naming actors. How about so-and-so? No, he's a pain in the ass. Move on. No, he's a great actor. Academy Award nominated. Yeah. But he's a headache. Let's move on. They don't want to deal with headaches. And if you're going to cost, headaches are money. Time's worth money. If you're going to cost him headaches, move on. And that's the difference. Mickey almost assassinated. He did assassinate his own career for a couple of years, but because of his talent.
But he didn't like authority. That's what he mentioned in his interviews. He just didn't like being people push him like military style on him.
No, Mickey's not big with that. That's for sure. Mickey, he's got the rebellious nature, a legitimate, rebellious nature, and that comes from his upbringing. He didn't have a good relationship with his stepfather, his mother left, his father left him, were kids, and stepfather, that type of stuff. So he doesn't take direction. He'll take if he respects you. If he don't respect you, he'll walk all over you. Thank God we have a good mutual relationship. I love him, man,
and he loves his dogs.
And I said, hey, Mickey, them dogs, that's lunch, man. I think my dog eat that for lunch. Come on, man.
Right.
But you know what? Dogs are therapy for a lot of people. They're therapy for him.
Yeah. So now listen, Ray, I know, look, I want to talk about Dooku Kim. Look, we all know it's not your fault, all right? We all know, but the fact is, this guy gave you a good-ass fight, man.
Well,
you guys,
let me just say this, Eddie.
I felt like I was watching Rocky IV when Rocky was fighting the Russian.
Well, let me just say this.
Going at it.
When my manager, I'll never forget, he sent me the tape, the number one contender. I saw the tape. I said, I saw 2 rounds. Called my manager back. Said, look, man, it's gonna be a headache. This guy's gonna be a headache. It's gonna be a war, but make the fight.
Right.
He deserved his number one contender, whatever. I don't know. Whoever's there, you got to give him the shot. He's number one guy. And I watched tape, and I just knew style-wise, it was just we were matching styles. And I knew I prepared for that. I prepared for war. And so if what happened didn't happen, it would go down as one of the great fights of all time. It was a great fight.
Yeah.
And because of the ending, there's nothing good about it now. Nothing good about it.
After the fight, right? First of all, but before the fight, you got this legendary person that wants to see your fight.
Well, I found out he was going to be at ringside, and he was performing that weekend at Caesars where the fight was.
And the plan was he invited you to come to one of his performances.
Sure, right, that night, yeah. The night of the fight.
But when you beat Dooku Kim, that night, your mom and your sister's putting ice bags on your face.
Yeah.
And then Wolf comes in and says, listen, there's some bad news, man.
Yeah, that's right.
So right after that, did you still go out that night? Or you
we had a party. We partied because we didn't know what was that. We didn't know. Nobody there came in the party knew. They just knew it was a great fight. They knew I didn't know he got
Hold
carried
on, boom. Call again because you just do it again because you're delayed again. I know.
Okay,
what can I do? You good-looking bastard. See that? I can't miss this story. All right. So let's recount again. So Frank Sinatra invited you.
So Frank Sinatra invited me to a show that evening at the Caesars Palace. Mm-hmm. And that afternoon, after the fight, we had the party. We were having a party in my room. Directly after the fight, and we were going to go to the later show. I'm laying on bed. My mother's got an ice pack in one eye on one hand. My sister's got the other eye. The other hand, my mom's weeping over me, crying because, mm-hmm. I'm saying, Mom, why are you crying? We won, And Dave Wolf comes up later. Then we're going to have a party in my host suite. Light Hotel's throwing us, giving us, carte blanche. And Dave Wolf comes up and said, Ray, Murphy Griffith come up with Dave and said, man, Ray, we got some bad news. I said, what happened? And they told me, man, Griff said, man, don't look like this boy Kim's going to make it. So what are you talking about? Then Dave said that he was our life support system when they carried him out, which nobody knew. I didn't know they carried him out. We were celebrating. We didn't know. I went over, he was sitting in this corner. I went over and congratulated him, but we were celebrating. I didn't know he got carried out.
But when you congratulated him, was he like, oh, thank you, like that?
Yeah, I mean, it was just, no, nothing was said. It was just,
Right.
Yeah. And, so I didn't know. And now, he's in a hospital. I get invited to the show. I feel like, man, maybe it's disrespectful to go. I didn't know what to do. I wanted to go see him at the hospital. I said, no, just not tonight. Just let it be.
Oh, so you wanted to go to the hospital?
I wanted to go to the hospital. They said, no, not tonight. It wouldn't be the right thing to do. Not now. Let's just wait and see what happens. So later on, so we wound up going to the show. And it was a wonderful show. Mr. Sinatra was wonderful. Introduced me. You know, said he was at the fight today, the afternoon, and introduced me to the crowd. But nobody knew at that point.
Right.
What was happening?
But you know who else? Boom. You know who else was there when they carried him off the stretcher? A legendary baseball Hall of Famer.
Well, two of them.
Who? Okay.
Two.
One was George Brett.
George Brett and Willie Stargell.
Yeah, they were there.
Okay. Now you want to hear another story?
Go ahead.
True story. During the Kim fight, you know, the fight was just a physical fight, and now my body was hurting so bad, the head, man. But I didn't know if I was hallucinating or not. And after the fight, I asked my trainer, assistant trainer, Chuck Fagan. I said, Chuck, was I hallucinating? Because I knew this guy was supposed to beat the fight, but I didn't know. I said, was I hallucinating, or was Bill Cosby in our corner? He said, oh yeah, man. Bill Cosby come in, he tapped my shoulder, my assistant trainer, tapped my, and in that, you know, that Fat Albert voice said, will you tell that boy to move his head, meaning me? Tell the boy to move his head. Chuck said, yeah, Bill, I love it. Get the fuck out of here. Well, get out of here, yeah.
Right.
I said, see, that's one of the things you remember, but I thought I was hallucinating because Griff's telling me instructions and my body's hurt, and you lean over to spit in the spit bucket and you look up. But it was true, he was there. But he come in the corner and started trying to give instruction. He kicked him out of the corner. So, yeah. So Bill Cosby there, Lou Rawls, Robert Goulet, you know, all the glitterati of the Vegas Strip. Because it was the first fight of the permanent outdoor facility at Caesar's Palace. Meaning, all the big fights before it, Leonard Hearns, Cooney Holmes, all the big fights before it, they resurrect a outdoor facility, and then they tear it down. This one was the first. Now they built a permanent outdoor facility, and this was the first fight. You know, we were going to be the premier fight for this new opening of this new arena.
And usually when you box on a Saturday afternoon outdoors, CBS covers that. You're a big leaguer, my man.
Well, you know, I was fortunate, and, you know, CBS would have been great to me. I hope I did well for them. And Saturday afternoon was prime time, you know. Yeah. So it was just good. And my fights did well. There were good ratings for CBS. And like I said, it did well for me. So, yeah, that's why I never understood why after this fight, you know, it was just terrible because I felt so bad. He was such a warrior. You know, and then you go through the whole, you know, I'm being a Catholic Christian boy, go to church, pray, say my prayer, God, you know, ask God why this happened, you know, God. But then you realize, you know, my faith tells me you don't ask questions why, you just accept, and hopefully at a later time will be understood, right? So I said my prayers. I'd go see my priest, Father O'Neill, who was at the fight, my dear friend. He helping me through this time, but it was very difficult. I'd come home and people were warm and embracing, but you get some stupid people say some stupid things.
Yeah, you know what is, Boom? You know, here's the thing. What I love in your documentary, whose idea was it that the son, because remember, Dooku Kim, his wife, was pregnant at the time.
Right.
The mom had to tell the son as he was getting older, hey, listen, daddy's working overseas. And then finally, she opened up to him.
Because he confronted her one day. He had heard who his father was. And he confronted his mother saying, you're saying one thing, people are telling me another. I want to know. And she finally told him. And so Mark Kriegel, the writer, you know, the author of the book, you know, Mark's a wonderful writer, a good friend of mine.
I like him. He cracks me up because before we start the story, I like when he goes like this. So, and is he from New York? Because he sounds like he's from New York.
He's actually grew up on 8th Avenue, literally catty corner from the Garden. He literally grew up.
Oh, so he goes like this.
He lived on 34th Street.
Yeah. He goes like this with the timing. He goes, so you got a Jewish manager, a black trainer, and an Italian stallion. It was great timing.
Oh, you're going to get no better than that, you know.
Right.
He's the best.
But
He's
go ahead.
great.
So who created for the son and the mom to come to you?
Mark, when he was writing, he went over to get information. You know, he went over to do his, to interview the mother and the son, and he got in touch with them through somebody and went over to interview them. While I was over there, I guess G1, the son, asked if he could meet me.
Wow.
Mark said, well, I don't know. Let me find out from Ray. So he called me. He said, Ray, would you be interested? I said, yeah, I would. Because I thought it would be good closure for him. It was important for me to meet him. I thought it was important for him to meet me. And hopefully get to get closure, meet some closure. So I said, yeah. And that's what happened. And then Mark set it up and got the guys flown over.
But let me ask you this, Ray. Right before the incident, he's coming in with the limo, some transportation, right? Did you feel a little scared? Did you feel a little?
Oh yeah. Oh no, what happened? That's funny. We're sitting in my home I'm on my front porch. My kids are running around. They'll go 5 minutes out, or 10 minutes out, then it's 5 minutes out. Now I'm starting to. I'm not nervous about, it wasn't, but I was like, oh man, what am I gonna say to this kid? How am I gonna, so go through it, try to set the scenario in your mind, envision, the first meeting. What do I do? How do I shake his hand? How do I shake his hand? All this stuff, Then I said, hell with it, man. The car pulled up. Oh, I'm sorry. The car pulled up. Can I talk to the guy called?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Rick, I'm doing a Zoom interview. Can I call you right back in a little while? Thank you. And
go ahead. It's all right. Listen, my interviews are conversational, buddy.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
It's great doing this stuff, man, because that's what I'm saying. You get, things happen. You got to call.
Go ahead.
So anyhow, the car pulls up, and then door open. But I was waiting. I was anxious. Oh, I told you another thing. They said they had 2 cameras there, and or 3. I'm sorry, they had 2 on each side, and the guy with the handheld. And I finally said to them, like a couple minutes, they said, it's a couple minutes out. Finally, I said, I looked at these guys, I said, look, man, you better get this in the first shot because I can't do this again.
Right, because
whatever you get this again.
Right.
I can't do this again. So what you saw on camera was on one take.
No, because you know what, boom, I was feeling you. It's like, what do I say to the son?
Yeah, exactly.
Were you feeling that? Were you like,
yes, what do I say? How do I put, the different cultures, like we're embracing, I hug everybody. I hug kids that, they're stoked people. I don't know, what do you do? Right. So I try to think, when he approaches me, how am I gonna, that whole thing, yeah. So finally, it's just to open, he come out and shook hands, and as you can see, it was awkward.
It was very awkward. Yeah, but I would feel the same way. I'm like, oh my God, what do I say right now? I hope, if, boom, if he goes, you know what, you're a killer or whatever. So,
what are you gonna do? You just take it, you go.
Yeah.
I understand.
You know what the best thing was? And I love the fact you guys were hanging out all day like a family, right? And the best thing when he told you, it's not your fault, man.
Right.
Did that give you the biggest relief?
Yeah, it did. It gave me, I was at this guilt feeling, and it gave me, since, he was giving me, I was able to let it go. Because I didn't want, Phil having any guilt feelings towards me or having any animosity. And he told me when he said, at first I did, but I was a young boy. I had blamed you. And then I realized as I got older that it wasn't your fault, Yeah, that was a great relief for me, and glad to hear it. And that's why you could see, I had no what to say. I was just very appreciative.
Boom.
But I'll tell you what was heartbreaking for me.
Go ahead.
I almost lost it, man. Good thing camera was on her. It was his mother. When she was telling me, when she did, she was telling how they accept me because they feel he's living through me now, and they accept me as one of their own. And here's the woman whose husband died at my hands, so to speak, and just forgiving me, and to have no animosity, and that they feel it's living through me. They embraced me, and it was such a beautiful moment, man. It was such a beautiful, and she was crying all the time. That's what was killing. She was sobbing uncontrollably, and that's hard for me to hold back because I felt the pain. I felt her pain of wanting to tell me this, the pain of not having him here with her. I mean, it was very a dramatic moment.
But boom, if we turn back the clock, you lost your brother, right? Then after Dooku Kim, his mom committed suicide 3 months later. And then the legendary referee, Freddie Green, 8 months later.
Richard Green.
Richard Green. He committed suicide. But did that give you more like, oh my God?
Oh yeah. It was never ending. It was never ending. But Richard Green's daughter got in touch with me, and she said, "Please don't blame yourself or everything. My father was suffering from depression." And she was, obviously I said, "Was it after that fight?" She said, "Well, no, he had it, but that fight, certainly didn't help." And people would say things to him, but she goes, he suffered depression. It wasn't that one. It was an accumulation of a lot of things in his life.
Oh, okay. But you would think
that wasn't the only thing. It wasn't that.
You would think he has a great life. He's very friendly in the ring.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? He sees, he has that smile. He loves what he's doing. But behind the scenes, we don't know that he's depressed, right?
Right. The depression, yeah. So who knew? But that was that, But it was just one thing after another. And it's just like, man, this is like, it was never any story, everything, something would come up. So there's a lot of negative, I don't use this word a lot, but it's negative energy after that fight, had to do with that fight. A lot of negativity of things happening, succession of things, one after another that I said, man, and then, before the fight, I was the poster child for everything that was good about boxing. Now I became the poster child for everything that was bad about boxing.
Right.
And that's just, man, that hurt.
But you know what? Boom, you also probably could say that you saved lives because there's no more 15 rounds anymore.
But see, I don't buy into that, Eddie. No. That's bullcrap. That's bullcrap. True championship distance is 15 rounds. There's 12 rounds. True. Tell me. I've talked to enough neurologists, brain surgeons. There's none, absolutely zero substantiating proof that more accidents happened or fatalities in the last 3 rounds as opposed to the first 12. In fact, after they had stopped the 12 round, 15 round fights went to 12, there's been more fatalities from that point till now than it was before that.
Yeah.
So that's bullcrap.
All right. I didn't know, you know what I mean? But boom.
It was a TV decision. And I've talked to them. TV says, look, we got more chance to do commercial time. We can have an opening, a closing, interviews. Most fights don't go to distance. Oh, it's better for us. It's a TV decision, man. And the organization, the WBC, they crumbled, man. They caved in like a deck of cards, man. After that, made it 12 rounds. Why? And people said, oh, because of that fight, the 50 fights aren't 15 rounds anymore. People say that, but let me tell you, the last 15-round fight was 1986, 87. That's 4 years later. That's a hell of a long time to wait if that's the cause.
But here's the thing. The round 13, 44 consecutive shots, you landed on it.
Yeah, but I landed a lot. I missed a lot, too. He was bobbing and weaving.
They said you
That's
landed.
The thing. Yeah, you hit him, but Eddie's doing this. He laying up on the ropes, head going back. He's bobbing and weaving. It's a different thing. And people always say about Richard Green, there was no place in the fight could Richard just stop it. I was pummeling him where Richard Green could jump in, stop the fight. Because if you like that 13th round, finally after X amount, 40 minute of throwing punches or a minute and a half, whatever, I'm fatigued now. He comes in, pushes me back, he starts banging on me, and all I'm doing is trying to cover up and block. So you can't make it's not a good argument because people say, yeah, I see what you're saying, but it came right back. After that.
Right. Boom, let me ask you this. If Dooku Kim trained in the United States, like let's say he was born here, would he be one of the top fighters in the lightweight?
Look, styles make fights. For me, it would have been a war every time. For somebody else, it might have been an easy fight. For other guys, Kim might have been knocking these guys out because it's aggression stuff. You don't know. Styles make fights. A lot of guys might be not about boxing. Maybe. Or like I said, or maybe his pressure would have caught a lot of these guys. Don't know. That's the thing. We don't know. Well, what it could, how good he could have been. But we know one thing. When you fight somebody, I always tell people, when you fight somebody from a foreign country, you're fighting your whole country, man. You're not fighting a guy. He's got his whole. He comes in the ring carrying his whole country on his back.
Right.
So,
now, average boxer in the lightweight division, you retired pretty young, right?
Yeah, I was 24 years old when I retired.
How old were you?
I was 24.
Oh my God, that young!
My whole career was 5.5 years. I was 5.5 years as a pro. I was fortunate I got in. And look, Eddie, my style of fighting was not made for a long career. I know that. I sacrificed longevity to make my score, to make my money. I was fan friendly, come in there, but I only knew how to fight one way, and I was able to make my money. And so when I had my financial security, I lost love after the Kim fight. Let me go back. Before the Kim fight, I fought for righteous reasons, to be the best fighter I could be, to be a world champion for my father. Once I won the title, to be the best fighter I could be, the best champion I could be for the city of Youngstown, for my country, whatever, right? After the Kim fight, there was nothing righteous about it for me. There was no love. I lost the love for it. I had no love for it. Before, I loved the sport before that. I had no love for it after that. Then it became a business. After that, it became a business. A chance for me to get my security and get out.
But if Kim was living, let's say, there wasn't no tragic death, do you think you would fight even longer than 25 years old?
No, I don't think, because I would continue to move on. I just had no love for it. I think even after that fight, because I knew what almost happened, could have happened, it was in my mind. But the thing that bothered me the most after that fight was, it could have been me. It could have easily been me. But who's to say next time it wouldn't be me? My style of fighting was not going to change.
Right.
Not going to change. Look, and then look, the fights against Bramble later on, they were physical, brutal fights. And so it was the right time. It was just the right time to go. I knew I had my security, and again, no love. Look, boxing is a marriage, man. I was married to my career for so long. I was dedicated to my career,
Mm-hmm.
But like any marriage, once the love is gone, you gotta walk.
You gotta move on, yeah.
So
well, listen, boom. It's been a pleasure. Holy shit.
We're almost done. Eddie, I apologize. We went on a lot of stuff. We got to do this again and get back to the second half of this.
Oh, well,
second
absolutely.
half. There's one more to talk about.
Listen, don't go anywhere, by the way. Let me just talk to you right after this. I'm going to end the broadcast. Ray Boom Boom Mancini, great career, great boxer.
Thank you.
Charismatic.
Thank you.
People love him. People still, my boy John DeLulo. I told John, I said, John, if you don't give me Boom Boom Mancini, you're on my shit list the rest of your life.
I appreciate that.
And he goes, oh, yeah, I could do it. I'm like, yeah? Show me what you can. Let me see what you got. So because, when I was living in L.A., I was teaching this kid how to hit baseballs.
Okay.
I was a batting instructor. Because I also played college baseball down in Florida. Had a
scholarship. We talked about it. You're right. You did tell me that.
Yeah.
Batting instructor, man. Hey. You could be doing that. They make a hell of a living, man.
Especially in LA and West LA in the Palisades area.
Oh, you ain't kidding, man.
Yeah.
My kids played in Santa Monica. They play a lot of teams in the Valley. They spend a lot of money for those travel teams.
Yeah, exactly. Tell me about it. But hey, you're a real dad. You know why? Because a man that doesn't spend time with his family is not a real man. Boom.
It's it. As my father said. And my father told him, if you can't kiss your father on the mouth, then you're not a real man. My father, he says, you can't show love to your father, you can't be a real man.
One more question, Boom. How come you wrote a poem to your dad at 15 and you made him cry? Why? What made you do that?
Because I told you, I wanted to be him. He was everything to me. He was everything as a father, as a man, everything I wanted to be. Forget the fighting part. It was just everything as a man and as a father. He was everything I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And that's why. I was able to write. I was doing poetry.
You know what the best thing about it? In your neighborhood, you got like 12 bars, right? You got like 13 bars, right?
The whole street, up down the street, 2 blocks away.
So then your father, who drink after work, normal, that's fine.
Yeah.
And then
not every day, but I mean once.
But you would look for him.
Oh yeah, I chase him out.
And then when you see him, you say, Dad, that's it, enough. And then the guys are like, no, stay, Lenny, stay. And he's like, it's my son. I love him. I got to listen to him.
Yeah.
That was the best.
I'd walk in the bar. They'd say, hey, Boom, you want a drink? I'd say, Boom ain't having no drink. They look at me and go, you going to listen to him? He goes, it's my baby. What are you gonna do? I'd go in the bars. I'd go in. I'd look through the windows like this. I'd see him because I knew the joints hung out, and I'd go. If he wasn't home by a certain time, I'd ride up on my bike and go up and down. I knew first joint, the second joint. I'd go up and down the place. True story.
You know what, Boom? I really appreciate that because you know what it is? I grew up without a father. He left us when I was 4. And
I'm sorry to hear that.
No, it's okay. But the relationship of you and your dad.
And here's another thing. People say to me, I could never tell my father, never told me he loved me. My father never affectionate. My father hugged me and kissed me since day one. That's why I didn't know anything different. And then when I kissed my father in the mouth after the first television fight, when I beat Morales on national TV, I kissed him on the mouth. That was the biggest talk. They were talking more about that than the fight. And I said, I don't get it. I've been doing this my whole life. My father, my kids, my children, his grandkids, he eats them up, hugging them and kissing them all the time. He still do that. I didn't know anything different. My father was a loving, loving man, and he was everything. He said, as a father, he was as tough as they come. He was legendary in the streets of Youngstown. He was as tough as they come, but as a father, man, you couldn't ask for a better father.
Yeah. Listen, it's awesome. Your story's
Thank
great.
you.
Don't go
Thank
anywhere.
you.
That's Boom Mancini in the house, baby. Hold on a minute.
Hi, this is Raymond Mancini, and I advise you to subscribe to Eddie Mata's YouTube channel, because if you don't, we're going to have to throw down.
Oh, shit. Okay. There you go.